Rock and roll. Hello, everybody. It is Thursday. How are y'all doing? It does say it's live. How y'all doing? So good to see you. Hello, David Barry. Good to see you, my friend. Y'all need to check David's channel out. Good stuff that he's doing there. Hey, Susie Q, Sarah, David Castle. Hello, Grandpa Brian. Good to see you. How y'all doing? Wasn't David a phenomenal guest? I'll tell you, I enjoy um, his knowledge, and he really is very knowledgeable and I think spot on. Hello, Twisted Isby, Chloe, John Price. Think agape love, always and forever. Hello, good to see you. Um, Lost in Space. Hello. Yeah, I really enjoyed this show. A lot came out of that yesterday, and it falls so much in line with what's going on. Yeah. So speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken be in our lives. May favor greet you as you come in, and may favor greet you as you go out. May favor be a constant companion and surround you all about. There you go. You see, that was a spell. Um, remember, all spells rhyme. Uh, like a dime. Hey, Robert V, how you doing? Are you still wanting to come on next Wednesday? And by the way, speaking of community folks, the tribe coming on, have Maria Eyes to See. She will be on tomorrow as a special guest. Looking forward to that. Tonight on the Steiger Perspectives, artistfirst.com, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain. Um, the title of the show is The Collapse. You won't want to miss this, folks, because remember, over there are no censors. Tyranny doesn't exist. And you can really exercise your First Amendment right and freedom of speech, baby. And it's just not the other side who gets to have a voice. So check it out. Hey, listen, there's something in this package. I don't know. They're going to do something here and tune in to the Steiger Perspective. You'll get a lot more on that. I just don't want to give the bots any reason to pay attention to us. So, um, in this bill, this stimulus bill, they're going to give the pot industry access to financial markets, which means they can take credit card, debit cards, have the same privileges as merchants do. Hey, hello, Hadley. How you doing? Good to see you. Uh, oh, that's cool. I just saw that. Jargo, good to see you. So, Bree, hello. Um, yeah, interesting. And you know why they're doing that? Even though the Trump administration is opposed to it, I think they're going to go ahead and roll the dice on it. Um, is because there's going to be a federal excise tax and all marijuana, uh, cannabis industry. Um, you know, some estimates are that combined, you're looking potentially for the United States a $500 billion a year. And that will then give the incentive for other states to legalize it. And before you know it, you have all 50 states now selling pot. And the government, the feds, they're tired of letting the states collect all the booty, the bounty off the folks that partake in that, in which there should be the option to that. It's so taboo. And the reason why it's taboo, the reason why Christianity and all the rest of them, they're the ones who helped make it taboo. But here's the real truth to the story. You see, marijuana is hemp. Hemp was a huge industry, was a huge product for the war effort. And it is simply the fact that after Prohibition, that the distilleries that were banked by the big bankers who had the lobbyists in Washington made this plant illegal. in favor of alcohol. So go figure. There we go. Hey, Grandpa Brian, home growing everyone. Yeah, I think that's where you're going to see it. Isn't that interesting, Sarah Hopkins? Yeah. So to all of you who, mushrooms are going to be included in it. Al, I think that this is going to be a whole catch-all. I'll just tell you, tonight we're going to be discussing that. The reason why I see this happening before the end of the year is they want to have this in place to be able to start instituting the federal tax collection starting January 1st. And hear me on this. Although the states that have legalized it and those dispensaries, growers who have state licenses will need to apply for a federal license on top of that. And those will carry some pretty stiff fees. And you're going to see it. The states are going bankrupt. This will virtually force every state out there by necessity to legalize recreational and medical marijuana. So anyway, there's my commentary. Took up a whole 4 minutes on that one, huh? Isn't it interesting, T-Fex? Seeds, yeah. Now, back in the day, we're going to do a Wayne's World, retro scene back. The biggest problem I had when we bought pounds and kilos, and I actually crossed the Rio Grande. I mean, I think the statute of limitations run out on that. And there's anyway, I remember we got one brick, and when we opened it up, I mean, it was like a third seeds. Today, those seeds are extremely valuable. Back then, they were a drag on the product. So anyway, I digress. But it was cool. It really was. I'm going to tell you. So anyway, where are we? Happy birthday to all of those who are having one, and anniversaries as well. It's, memories. We're talking about cellular memory. It's an interesting concept of what this is about. So the thought process works like this. We're talking about synthetic telepathy. We know the brain is an electrical organ. It puts out an electrical signal. Interesting. We all have that. And it comes down to the question then, what is thought? How is thought generated? Where does thought originate from? And if you want to look at it from, a physiology point of view, thought would then be generated from the neurons that are going off in our brains right now. And if it's from the neurons, well, I tell you what, I actually put something together where we can actually take a look at this. So when you look at the neurons that happen, they actually contain a whole ecostructure. This is where, and this is, folks, this is decades old. I can only imagine where they really are with this. So this one deals with imagined speech classification with an EEG, that's right up here, electroencephalogram, signals for silent communication, a preliminary investigation into synthetic technology. And what they're finding, speech. Technically, if you wanted to look at it, each and every one of us are always living in the past. There is a part of us the inside of us, the thinking us, that is always 6 seconds ahead of us. I've had this conversation with one of the folks in the community, emailing wise. And when you start and think about it, and it's lucky, actually, as I recall, y'all ought to check his channel out. He has some, one of the walks are great. But anyway, so it seems that our bodies are about 6, 7 seconds always behind us. Emotions, thoughts, ideas are always expressed in the past tense. The future tense is virtually impossible in this plane to actually, and I'll use a great word, attenuate here. Gets interesting. So if we are, in fact, our bodies are 6, 7 seconds behind the sentient us, that leaves a whole lot opened for then what is memory? Is memory created at the moment the thinking us thinks of it? Or is it manifested in a manner that is expressed by these bodies? It's an interesting conversation. We talk about AI on the mind and consciousness. We could say technically consciousness would always be, in a case, future tense. Future tense. If my thoughts are 7 seconds, 6 seconds ahead of what I express, then we're truly living in multi-dimensions, space-time. We do and talk about this all the time. What is consciousness? Well, you'd be happy to know that so is the government very interested in this. CIA, DARPA, the military industrial complex, you know, they've been all over this baby for a long time. They know us better than we know ourselves. We're so easily programmed. Again, tune in tonight. I really get into how we all have been reprogrammed. We may be aware, but still, we are being reprogrammed. And so I wanted to get into one particular part. Do our cells have memory? So this is an actual human cell in the process of dividing. Now the question becomes, is there consciousness there? And if there is consciousness, is there memory there? Think about it. Where do our memories actually abide? How does it become imprinted? Is it not imprinted on a cellular level? And then when we begin to look at the DNA, the mitochondrial DNA, if that is us, because we can't exist without our DNA, then where does memory reside? Wouldn't it be there? And does that not imply that every cell either contains a part or the whole? Because our DNA is comprised. These are cells, neurons. I mean, this is what is us. Now, if memory and consciousness resides within each cell, I mean, people say, well, no, this is the physical body. No, 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 no. You're missing the point. This is a blending. This is not separates. These are blended. These may be separate components, but they only operate as a whole when combined. This is a good representation. So does that contain you, me? It's in my body. That's a cell. Is that, and you know, of course, this is a living biological physical thing. But then again, it has to be asked, well, is there not an unseen energy that is powering this? And the amazing thing is that each of us have this ability to give life force. I think there's 10 trillion. And does consciousness, memory reside there? Excuse me. It says, we are witnessing in the cell's interior the molecule dialogues largely more complex than what we have expected. We're learning that we are life within life. And the more that we understand the human genome, the more that we understand all the way down to the molecular level, the more we're grasping this. And what we're finding is that I just read they have 2 patients in trials. They entered trials, I think, within the last couple of weeks. Their DNA is being reprogrammed. And in this case, these are specifically heart patients that have heart defects, disease. And they're seeing remarkable things happening. It's like we can be conscious of our thinking aspects, but there's a whole other part of us that we're not aware of it. Remember, the subconscious occupies 95% of our waking consciousness capacity. That means 95% of what we're really about, we're not aware of. And by being able to do that, it changes everything. You have somewhere between 50 to 100 trillion cells in our bodies. Just like we have a brain, each cell has a nucleus that directs what is going on in the cell. If you experience an injury, an accident, or traumatic pain, either physically or emotionally, then the cell remembers. I told you on Monday, excuse me, that trauma can interrupt the programming. The military has known this for a very long time. Medical science is finding this out. So in your mind, you may be over the circumstance, but your cells may still be freaking out, holding on to the memory in panic and bracing for the next similar occurrence. And I wonder if this, well, obviously it must transfer at death. It's part of our consciousness. Even though those, and many people have experienced trauma in their lives. A lot of people hate dentists, have a fear of dentists. Back in the Western days, dentists were not revered at all, but it's that trauma. People that meet with a violent death, that's trauma. That is a huge imprint. And I'm telling you, although we can see the physical aspects of these neurons, there's an unseen value that's not being accounted for. I believe that this energy is literally imprinted upon our souls. That's just my opinion. So this all plays into this whole synthetic telepathy. You have people that are subjected to trauma, such as MK Ultra victims, that is psychically embedded as well. We've talked about, the process of a brain-computer interface, BCIs, in which human thoughts are intercepted, processed, and a return signal is generated. Now, take this 7 seconds delay. 7 seconds is a long time. In fact, we'll just do what 7 seconds is. That was 7 seconds. A lot can happen in 7 seconds. You got a camera they've talked about that can do over 1 trillion frames per second now. They're saying that we're getting to the point where we're actually going to be able to see atoms. But getting back to this 6-7 second delay. So if you have something that can intercept your thoughts, send you back feedback before your physical body has a time and the mental conscious aspect, your cognitive awareness. Wow, talk about a Manchurian candidate. You had AI on top of that. This is some nasty stuff. It goes on to say that this is not new technology since 1974, and who knows before then. These are not new sciences. New technology is being enhanced to it for sure. But nevertheless, it's here. And I think as well within the community, look what they said here. Although clearly synthetic telepathy technology could be implemented for serving humanitarian purposes due to the severe abuses of technology in the hands of criminal psychopaths, both human and non-human, synthetic telepathy is a tool easily converted for mass mind control. Now, I found it very interesting, that one part. I get the psychopaths. We got there's many of psychopaths in Congress. I'm just telling you. And in other places. But look at this, both human and non-human. What does that even mean? I mean, all of us could simply really elaborate on what non-human means. Says synthetic telepathy is in passive reception is the ability to read a signal emitted from a targeted person without first broadcasting a signal. The human brain emits electromagnetic patterns which can be received at a distance, and the distance is determined by the sensitivity of the sensor, receiver, and the bandwidth. 5G, anybody? Excuse me. I don't know. Is that conspiracy talk? Well, we know that 5G is, it's microwave radiation, just at a higher vibration. So synthetic telepathy and active reception is sending a active signal directly, excuse me, to the brain's modulation of frequency. So they can actually tune in on us. What the heck? And it says that it potentially can result in many other detrimental side effects. You think? You hear people think they're hearing from God, which is the thing that many people report. We all have conversations with ourselves. In fact, that's how we get to know ourselves. We talk to ourselves. Excuse me. I swallowed some tea down the wrong pipe. I hate when I do that. And that happens when you're trying to talk and drink at the same time. So this gets very interesting because look how quickly society has adapted to what are the new rules, the new social protocols. What I find interesting is that if this had happened in the 60s, there would have been I think, a broader compliance. Society back then was much different than it is today. And I find it refreshing to see how many rebels are out there. And it tells me that there are a lot of us who are awake. And that is a problem. So you look at this, and now you begin to go, okay, no, so they've had this technology since, let's say, the 60s, maybe earlier, who knows? I read that the Soviets were working on this back in the 30s. So we know that they have scanners. We know that they have biosensor technology. We already know that that's been implanted. And we know that these are psychotronic weapons. Weapons. I mean, this is not like something aimed at you and you say, ooh, that feels good, baby. No, man, they're jacking with the inside gears. I mean, when I showed you all those beams coming down, it's nuts. And when I look at what's going on in our society today, I just sit back. I mean, we can all see the programming, the new normal, social distancing, complying with wearing a mask out in public. You won't be a good citizen if you don't comply. Are you putting your fellow man at risk? Well, that's going to be against the law. I'll be able to sue you. You see where this is going? And this is where they get targeting it. I mean, Musk, in his quest to blend machine AI and the bioman, the neural net 2.0, which is being built as we talk, everything is going to be biosensors. Listen, folks, the future is already here. Biosensors is a pretty broad definition, but that's exactly what already, if you're using, I'm going to show you something. Two things. So if your phone, if it has the biometric thing onto this, right? So this is a biosensor right here, this device. The newer versions coming out are complete biosensors. But even this one right here is a tracking. It's a sensor. It's sending back information to whatever about me, my location, tracking me where I'm going. who I stopped and visited. Each address is being pinned, and it's being done to you right now. What they want to do is to get away from a external one like device, like a cell phone, smartphone, and actually have it implanted. Then AI, there's a term when you do a handshake in technology, it means that you have two platforms that now can converse. They have commonality. So all of this comes into the Internet of Things. You've heard this, IoT, cars. I read an article that within the next 5 years, if we survive this collapse or how we ever come out of this collapse, is going to be interesting. But because of this pandemic, the urgency is ever more to take control away from your car, but your car will be spying on you. Right now, a person who's been convicted of DIAs has a monitor that's hooked up to their ignition system. You can now begin to see continual biosensors on the steering wheel, with the ability now of actually scanning you full time, because more cars are equipped with Wi-Fi. Think about this, folks. What does that make you? Makes you a slave. You're not free at all. In fact, there is no freedom at all where it comes. So this is where we get into telepathy. Now, we'll get into this at a later time because it's pretty deep. And as you can see, we got a lot to talk about, but I'm trying to get into the cellular telepathy. So expanding consciousness goes beyond acquiring mental knowledge through linear thinking and into the realm of direct knowing and cellular telepathy, which are natural functions of the human spiritual biology. I don't hear many people who talk about the spirit talk about spirit biology. Why? Why is this missing in the metaphysical community, the spiritual community? You never hear those two words, spiritual and biology, used in conjunction with one another. We've missed something here, because it's very evident that there, in fact, is a biology to the spirit. Hands down. Now, we have been purposely blocked. Each and every one of us have telepathy abilities. You're born with them. You carry them when you came into this world. You're going to carry them when you go out, because that's how you're going to communicate on the other side. Does the spirit breathe air to speak? No. And you regain it very quickly on the other side. That's why when they pick up recordings of ghosts, EMPs, EVPs, electrical voice prints, those are not words. You're hearing the spirit. The spirit knows how to put words into a frequency that is not spoken. Telepathy is real. In this case, it says telepathy is usually described as mind-to-mind communication at a distance, without the five senses. In my astral travels, I have found that you can communicate light years. Space-time is not a factor where the speed of thought is concerned. It's instantaneous. Now, when you talk about cellular telepathy, that extends to the comprehension that every cell in the body is alive and intelligent, and thus the brain and mind are not required to transmit messages, thoughts, or information from one individual to another. Essentially, it is knowing telepathically information is able to be received and transmitted between the cells, and that all living cells have an instruction set for this information exchange, which is a form of cellular telepathy. That is also, in my opinion, where memories are shared. Every cell of our body is alive. Wouldn't be part of us if it wasn't. Each has its own uniqueness, but it is still, in its totality, us. Why? Because each cell carries us. When a human spirit suspends linear thought and surrenders mental chatter to be fully present in the moment, to observe and feel the energy in the environment, more impressions and information can be directly perceived by the cells of the body. All of us, many of us experience those downloads. When Trina and I get together, I mean, it runs rampant. This is the sensation of direct knowing, breathing into the moment, feeling and listening to the energy signature in the environment, then allowing our higher senses to activate, which allow the intelligent energies to give our cellular body impressions and information without words, simply by standing alone, uninterrupted, and in a quiet in the middle of nature, simply breathing and observing the present moment in stillness, intended to connect to the energies present on the earth. Many impressions of the environment will start to flood into the present awareness, and the more open our minds and hearts are, the easier this information is to perceive. We all know it. It's like riding a bike, a motorbike. It's that sensation of feeling nature. We're in an immersive experience. There's communication going on so many levels that words could only slow it down, make it imperfect. And if these memories are in fact in each of the cells, that tells me that they can be activated. Many artists and musicians have commented that they woke up one day from an intense dream filled with musical or artistic inspirations and felt compelled to follow on into the manifestation, but did not know exactly where this inspiration, where it was coming from and why. This telepathic transmission is not mental to mental, but an emotional sensory experience that was transmitted into the cells through sound and color waves, which then evolved into a co-creation of a beautiful painting or an artistic musical piece. This just, how can this not excite you? We all experience this. It's just that we've never been focused in on this. And once you do become focused in on it, it changes your life. Doesn't it, David Barry? Big Al, Nina, and the rest of us. We know what happens. Each of us have experienced this. Why most of us are here. We exchange information that don't even have to talk about. It says cellular telepathy is a natural feature of the human light body, which activates and becomes stronger when the soul layers are healed, unified, and connected within the physical vehicle, or when the soul is able to become fully embodied. The soul matrix is the first spiritual triad where a human being starts the process of spiritual awakening, and the three layers interact together to form a platform of synthesizing the mental intelligence, which is referred to as the horizontal triad body. When these three bodies are integrated and merge horizontally through light body activation, the mental aspects of the Trinity activate new sensory perception functions. When these bodies unify, cellular telepathy and the ability to read energy signatures increases, activating the natal structures and the energy receivers that act as the main blueprint to our central nervous system and neural networks. One way to interfere with DNA signals and damage neural cellular telepathy in the human body is by targeting the solar plexus area and assaulting the digestive system, which acts as the second brain to process energies for the body. So, what is this saying? We actually have two brains, folks. You think that this is your brain. It is, but there is yet another one, of which is right here. We all have it. This is a brain. It does more than what you could even imagine. And this one deals in chemicals and electrical. It's fascinating. I haven't seen, well, I have to be candid with you, that many articles or books written on the second brain. Because medical science would say, yeah, no. You're talking about the digestive system. That's a system that's part of this. Yeah. Listen, medical science doesn't know everything. They just discovered last year that there's another organ that envelops this whole body. Now, how the hell did that escape them? Psychology says the cells in your body react to everything that your mind says. Negativity brings down your immune system. That's why the stay-at-home crap is the most asinine thing that could be happening to us. Humans must have sunshine. We must be able to go out and we must be able to interact with one another. It's a fact. And you take those elements away, and you're going to get a whole lot of side effects nobody knows. We can actually cultivate our telepathy. The most important issue for opening natural telepathic abilities are believing in the existence of telepathy, while knowing that you are inherently telepathic to begin with, along with knowing how to clear and quiet the mind through meditation and to generate deep physical and mental relaxation. Do you know why people believe prayer works? They believe it works. They expect something. Well, everybody pray. Well, that's a trigger word, because it doesn't require you to analyze what's going on. Now I do now, because I'm going, well, who am I supposed to be praying to and why? If this is an all-knowing, intelligent being, wouldn't it know ahead of time? Anyway, I digress. But the fact is, the reason why it's inscripted into you. You are taught from a very early age, most are, that prayer is a natural thing to do. And really, all it's saying is that, dear child, you are telepathic. You can communicate to an intelligence out that is beyond the physical world. And when you send out your telepathic thoughts, it will receive those thoughts, and it has the ability to work with you to create a result. Oh, shit. Well, you can't be talking like that. I mean, every church in the country, every religion would stop. Yeah, exactly. But if I replace the word telepathic with prayer, well, now it's kosher. Well, yeah, I can dig that. Everyone thinks that. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Let's all take a moment to pray, please. You know, we've been reprogrammed wrong. If you believe in prayer, then you believe in telepathy. And if you believe in telepathy enough that you pray, then, darling, why do you stop there? How about a cowboy? How many cowboys communicate with their horse? How many people communicate with their pets? We think we own them. It's actually the other way around. They teach us how to telepathically communicate. No dog understands English, but it understands your thoughts. And the vocal vibration is just merely a secondary effect. If we reject the existence of telepathy because it goes against our belief systems, we can effectively block it from happening. Developing single-minded focus and visualizations to form clear pictures in our mind, as well as setting an intentional space to directly connect to the mind or the object telepathically, sets an energetic connection between the parties involved. Remember that in higher spiritual dimensions where spiritual freedoms exist, the process of consciousness transports and time travel or connecting to something or someone happens just by focusing attention on the location, person, place, or thing. This occurs without mental strain or tension. It is a natural byproduct of consciousness, directing energy to focus our thoughts. Cultivating telepathic skills can happen by regularly practicing this skill set by yourself or with others as willing and consenting participants. Just make sure to wear your 12D shield as an important part of your telepathic practices, and be aware to honor people's right to privacy and to not probe others telepathically when uninvited. You can't do that. I used it as I'm ashamed to say this, but when I was in the corporate world, you can use it against people. Today, my wife and I practice telepathy, and we're getting good at it. We're getting so good at it that she can be upstairs and I can be even outside, and the thought is immediately transmitted. Many of you, I'm sure, can do the same thing. And we're going to stop there. I hope you found this at least stimulating enough to ask questions. This is the way out, folks. It's the way out. It's how the masters found the way out. This is the way out of the matrix. This is the way out of the trap. You don't need to come back. You don't need to be recycled. Because once you develop these skill sets here and you learn to use them here in the physical plane, you are a superstar on the other side. You go ahead of the line. You don't have to be traumatized to realize it by other spirits on the other side that this is how it happens. And I think this is a lot of times what we see in tormented souls. They're not mentally sharp enough to push it out, and they're tormented. They're lost. I think many children get trapped in the same thing. Why? It's because they don't. Children, you would think, would have this natural ability, but by the time most of them become cognitive in the blending, depending on their environment, many are never aware of it. Children, that's why they have their imaginary friends. They're not imaginary, they're real. And we know that. Hello, Jules. Well, I'm sorry about that. It's good to see you. Anyway, think about this, folks. Share this video. It's the way out. I'm telling you. We're going to practice more. Brian over at Milky Way Messengers, he's on the path. Get over there and tune in when he is on there. He will actually take the time in developing classes into this, and I think it's phenomenal. And if there's others who'd like to come on, all right, David. See you later. Hello, Julie. How you doing? We need to start getting into groups and practicing this. It can be done. My wife and I are living evidence of that. And this is something, folks, that will so surpass economies, political turmoils, everything. And it's a way that we can beat the enemy. The enemy that has been here for tens of millennia, this is what it has done. But something happened. I don't know what, but there has been an awakening. And there's more and more of us who use this. I use this most of my life, but I was taught these principles by Earl Nightingale. Many others. These were techniques that we were taught in sales, but they are in fact telepathic skills. They're in fact, in my sales training day, when I trained corporate account executives, I taught them a process called mirroring. And mirroring is a really effective way. And if you understand it above just the mundane aspect of simple mental manipulation, if you understand what's really going on here, there is a connection of telepathy. Many times when you meet the person that you fall in love with, that instant attraction is actually telepathy. You're just interpreting it through an emotional construct. And beloved abstract, that is exactly right. We have to, you can't, listen, as I taught in the lesson today, it can be used as a weapon. A psychotropic weapon. That's telepathy used in a destructive way. Think about it. If it can be used in a destructive manner, imagine the power connected to us. And if everyone in this community started sharing it with other people, what could happen? You see, it's the same thing manifested in top performing athletes. They've mastered this. There's a form. Example. I'll bring up Tiger Woods. They had to take the mic off the guy because every one of these golfers talk telepathically to their end objective, who they're talking to, who is the mental discipline about. Once you master it, you become a phenom. Well, Python, Highlander, good. Come on, let's talk about this then. Love to get a panel on this because we've got to get this going. It's time. And it's time that we become what we were destined to always be. So anyway. All right. Julie Ann Payne, that's exactly right. Imagination. I am the magician of my nation. I like that. Yes, exactly, Gaia. Exactly. If people would watch him, Michael Jordan, you couldn't, because basketball isn't that intimate, but golfing in that incident is, and it's pressure packed. It really is. But folks, there is telepathy going on. You have certain ones like, I know particularly when Stevie was on the bag with Tiger, they formed, and Tiger said, actually admitted this. He said, we can read each other's thoughts. When you hear someone talking like that, that is telepathy in action. So anyway, hello, Viola. Good to see you. Wesley, everyone. All right, folks. I hope it's been, I enjoy these. If there was just us and that was all there was, and then we're learning something, because we will influence, I'm telling you right now, tens of millions of people before this is over. Literally tens of millions. They will be spokes upon a center hub, because once it catches on, once it becomes injected into the code, it's going to spread. Om Shante, Shante, Shante. Yes, Emma said exactly. Absolutely. Thank you, Truth in Me. See, that I'm a magi, born to the wise one. There you go. Folks, let's do this. Can you imagine in the future that when we meet here, that we never say a word, but we all are in on the conversation? That would flip out the bots. All right, folks, I so do appreciate you. Come on and listen tonight. It will add to this. And y'all are just the best. I just want to say thank you to all of you. And I love to have some people come on and talk about this. I don't want to be just the only voice. We've got some powerful voices here, like, David yesterday. I mean, and when Trina is on, and there's others. I want to bring us all together so we can really discuss this. This is knowledge, and we have a powerful medium called the internet. Let's hijack it, and let's start using it to our benefit as opposed the other way around. All right, folks. Thank you all. Thank you, Sarah. Yahweh, thank you. Brandy, you're a fine girl. Appreciate it. And Rob, hello. And this is good stuff. Hello, Mary Wynn. So good to see you. Chloe, hello. Everyone, thank you. Burning Ego. I love it. Lost in Space, everyone. Thank you for a wonderful hour together. We'll see you tomorrow with our special guest. All right, folks. Bye-bye.